Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
So if you listen to episode 14, you remember me talking about the guy that wanted to cut my throat and kind of told me that very angrily. So as I share this 7-part series with you about the 7 habits, the number one principle I learned in my life, not just out of this book, but in my life, and it happened to come from this book, and it resonated with me the very first day, and I think about it every day. I have to think about it because I'm not naturally a proactive person. I'm naturally a reactive person. So I want to share with you what I learned. But this principle is what allowed me to hear that guy tell me angrily he wanted to cut my throat and that sort of stuff. And for me to just listen to it and not get angry. When in the past, I would have wanted to get very angry. I would have gotten angry and it would have got ugly. And it would not have been a good day. But anyway, that ain't what happened. It just rolled off my back like nothing. And the reason why is habit 1 of the 7 habits. And I'm going to tell you what they are. I'm going to teach you about it, but I'm going to tell you how I applied it. Habit 1 is be proactive. So what that means is between stimulus and response, human beings have the freedom to choose their response. And Dr. Covey learned that from Viktor Frankl. And you can research him. He's a cool guy, but I ain't got time to teach you all about Viktor Frankl and what he's done and the life he lived and went through. But that's where Dr. Covey learned it. And then he shared about it in his book, 7 Habits. So what I didn't know was when I heard that, I thought, who is this guy? No, the first time I heard it, I just had hit play. And probably within 3-4 minutes, I heard him say, Dr. Covey say, between stimulus and response, human beings have the freedom to choose their response. And I'm thinking, this guy doesn't know me. I'm an idiot. I got the shortest temper of anyone on the planet. And it runs in the family, I used to say. And I know I've heard other people say short temper runs in the family. And all you got to do is hang around me and my family long enough, and we will provide the evidence to support the belief. At that time, that's what I was thinking. And that was the truth, especially with me. I got angry every day multiple times for all kind of little things, but you would think it was a big thing. But I replayed that over and over because it made sense. No one had ever told me that. And I know in the blue-collar workforce, there are a lot of reactive people. That's why this principle is so important. There's so many in the blue-collar workforce that want to do more, that want to be more, that want to have more. And the number one thing for a lot of them that's holding them back, and you know this, you can validate it. You may be one of them. If not, you know one of them. And what's holding them back is how angry they get for little things. But some of them are just angry all the time. They're just angry at the world. It's also the white-collar world too, but I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the blue-collar world, the one I care about so much. That's why I know teaching this principle, most of the time I teach it everywhere I go because it's the most important principle I learned, and I know the impact of it. Because you think about it, if everything is equal, who's going to have more influence with positive, high-impact leaders? Someone who's reactive, or some people call that negative, or someone who's proactive, and a lot of people call that positive. Everything else is equal. What's that principle do for you? It will launch you. What will it do at home? You know, when you get home, I call it the pause button. In between stimulus and response, we have the freedom to pause and choose our response. And that response, I never paused. There was no gap. I didn't realize there was a gap. Mine was like back to back, and I would just explode in about half a second. But you actually can pause, and you can choose to do nothing. That's what I do the most of today. I really never get angry anymore. But I get on that pause button sometimes. I may be on it for hours. I look like one of the most stressed out people you've ever met because I can't do the right thing positively but I can do the best thing for me, which is to hit that pause button and do nothing. Instead of doing something negative or the wrong thing, I can at least do nothing. And that takes a lot of energy sometimes for me because I'm naturally a very reactive person. But most of the time, I don't get angry at all, and I don't have to stay on the pause button very long. But there's some things that happen, and I still have to get on it pretty good. So that's what I want you to think about today. You have that same freedom. Every human being has the freedom to choose their response. We all have gotten it right sometimes. Maybe a parent said something to us when we were younger and we wanted to go crazy, but we didn't. Or a teacher, or a lawyer, or a police officer, or somebody. And we were in a situation where we didn't want to act a fool, so we didn't. That means we have the freedom to choose our response. But we can do that in any situation. Any situation. We have that freedom. And what that means is we're responsible. We're responsible for who we are. I make the joke from the stage sometimes. You ever been sitting at a red light waiting to turn right, and there's a sign there that says right on red, but you're not the first car, you're the second car. And the first car's got its turn signal on for the right, and the light's red, and nobody's coming, and this person won't turn right. They're just sitting there, and you're about to explode. That used to be me. Now I just sit there, don't worry about it, because it really doesn't make a difference. It's going to be 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the most. Who cares? But that ain't who I used to be. But there's a lot of people who are like I used to be. So they sit there and they get angry, and they're telling themselves this story and getting and choosing to be angry. See, it's a choice. Once we realize we have the freedom to choose our response, no one can make us mad. We make ourselves mad by choosing to be angry. And that's a tough pill for some people to swallow because they want to blame someone else. As soon as you blame someone else, you don't have to do anything if you believe it's somebody else's fault. But if you look in the mirror and you say, it's my fault, now you got to do everything. One option, you don't have to do anything. The other option, you have to do everything. Guess why? People blame other people. So anyway, back at the red light, car won't turn. This person gets second car. Let's say it's me. The old days, I just get ballistic back there, about to go crazy. Finally, the light turns green. Car finally turns right. I turn right, and I do whatever I do as I go past this person. And I drive home. I'm home in about 3 minutes, and I walk in, and I say, this idiot at the red light made me so mad. That's what we do, see. We want to transfer the responsibility for our emotions and our feelings to someone else. Well, that'll work until you know better. As soon as I learned that from Dr. Covey, I knew better. I probably got mad that afternoon, but I knew better when I did it. I just didn't care. But over time, every time I'd get angry, I started questioning and started realizing I don't have to be this way. And I kept reading other stuff and learning these other habits I'm going to share with you. So just think about that. What would the impact of you being positive, you being more self-control? Think about it. Do you trust someone with more self-control or less self-control? That's an easy answer. We always trust people with more self-control. It's common sense, and I teach about this a lot. But things that are common sense aren't always common practice. And the reason is it often takes uncommon sense to do what's commonly understood. So I'm going to teach you right quick. I'm going to try to keep these series under 10 minutes, but there's some powerful stuff in this book, and I had a huge impact on my life. But what I want to tell you right quick, Dr. Covey talks about the circle of concern, circle of influence. Circle of influence is where we have control and influence. Proactive people stay in that circle. And when they stay in that circle where they have control and influence, it gets bigger. So their influence increases over time. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Reactive people focus on their circle of concern. It's outside their circle of influence. That's why they're concerned about it, but they have no influence, no control. That's where negative, reactive people focus on that circle, that area of their life. People get so mad about so much they can't do nothing about, and that's why they're mad. They can't do nothing about it. So why don't you forget about it is what the principle is. But when you focus on your area of concern, your circle of influence gets smaller because you're usually angry, negative, and all that. And think about that. You trust somebody who's angry and negative or somebody who's calm and positive? Real simple. And the people in the blue-collar workforce, when you start applying this stuff, the average people you're hanging around, they're going to hold you back. They're going to start saying you soft, you all this kind of stuff. No, what you're doing is getting real, and you're getting aligned with natural laws and principles. So proactive people, focus. That was a cool word. That's from that country coming out. Remember I told you I'm bilingual. I speak English and country. That was one of them, whatever it was. So focus on your circle of influence, and it'll get bigger. If you ever feel yourself getting mad, sad, angry, frustrated, that's a sign you're in your circle of concern, because you're mad, sad, frustrated, and angry because you don't have influence or control. So why would you stay there? You don't have influence or control. You can stay there all week. You still ain't going to have influence or control. What's the point? Let me say it again. You have no influence, no control. Go back to your circle of influence. Use your freedom of choice, your free will to say, change your mindset. I don't have control, influence out there. Get away from that. Calm down. You with me? That's it for today. Hope you guys got a nugget or two out of that. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen, or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.